connected due to inactivity, is what they keep telling us. So, anyway, please go over there or go over on Facebook. Please get in the comments. We'd love to see you guys over there. So, welcome to the RawDawgers Sportscast Live. I am Sean Watson.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
So good, so good. Hey, Ron, how's your March Madness bracket going for you?
Well, those kitty cats down in Kentucky really fucked me.
Yeah, they totally fucked me the first day. So I'm glad I went ahead and took them live, or not live. I'm glad I took them to win it all against Zona. So I still have a Wildcat kind of in the chase. I don't know if that's going to count. I actually, quick story. I had my wife fill out a bracket, watches zero basketball. Of course, I only watched one game this season. It was a play-in game on Tuesday. It was Howard against Wagner to see who gets into the tournament, and lost a little money on it. First one, I'm going to admit. But I had my wife go ahead and do her bracket, and she did it off of mascots. Just went on. Do you know all the mascots, Ryan? I mean, I don't. I didn't. I did not know them all.
Probably not for all of them.
No.
I could probably spit a few out in the dark.
Yeah. You want to just take a quick trip here? How about James Madison? You know them?
That would be the Generals, or no?
Is it the Generals? Is it the Mad Hatters? Who was the Mad Hatter? No. There was a Mad Hatters there a while back or some shit like that. It's not like Alice in Wonderland type shit. I mean, this is a real thing.
Oh, I don't know.
I wish our college basketball correspondent was on with us tonight because he knows. I think he actually goes in his secret sports book area. He has flashcards that has a lot of these mid majors on them, and he's able to recite them. I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? How do you know that? How do you? I mean, I didn't know much this season about Creighton until that they were the Blue Jays until like this season out of the Big East.
Right.
So, what the fuck, whatever. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and feel free to get in the chat. Let us know how your bracket is matching up with Bijan Robinson, who was had a perfect bracket. Running back from the Falcons had a perfect bracket after the first day. It was 0.0038% of the ESPN brackets. God knows how many are in there. But shout out Bijan. So,
right.
I mean, I don't know how he's doing after yesterday. I also did hear this real quick, that the chances of you picking a perfect bracket, somebody was comparing it to all the sand on the face of the earth. And there was a guy that was comparing it to just the amount of sand that was in the Sahara Desert alone. And it was somewhere in the neighborhood of still better odds that you could pick that one grain of sand out of all the sand on earth than you would of putting a perfect bracket together through the championship and everything. It was something in the 7 quintillion to pick the sand grain, and 9 over 9 quintillion. I mean, do you even know how many commas are in that? I mean, just off the top of your head. I mean, there's a
probably like
6,
18.
Yeah. So I actually heard this too, that it would be easier for you to pick back-to-back lottery winners like Powerball and then Mega Millions rather than hit a perfect bracket on the NCAA tournament. So pretty long, substantial odds.
Yeah, I think the best bracket I have right now is at like 78% correct picks. Something like that, 80%.
Which is still amazing.
Dude, I hit like my first 6 games. I was like,
Right. Then you immediately think to yourself, why the fuck didn't I put that on some kind of parlay?
Instantly.
Just
but,
be immediately like Watson, just build a fucking parlay.
But if I would have done that, then like the next 3 out of 5 I missed.
Right,
So.
or you would have went 0 for 6.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Oh, the gods would have made sure I got fucked.
All right, we're going to get right into it. I think the most alarming news this week, tell me if I'm wrong, the biggest story I would say, I mean, outside of course, nobody having perfect brackets now. Fuck you guys. If you say that you do, just go ahead and get in the chat and, show us. But is the Shohei Ohtani story. And I have just been getting just numerous ESPN alerts, Yahoo alerts, CBS alerts, all week long regarding this. I didn't know you were going to throw that up right there, but I love it. I love it. Poor Shohei. In the offseason, Shohei, just to give you a little bit of backstory, he went ahead and signed a new contract with the Dodgers, who have become the West Coast Yankees.
Yes.
And just gobble them up.
They've outspent the Yankees, I think, the last 4 or 5 years.
Just gobbling up all the talent.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for the guy a little bit. Now that we went through the story a little bit, I also kind of have a soft spot for him. Don't know if he's an actual degenerate. So getting back to Shohei Ohtani, so he signed an off-season $700 million contract. We talked about it a little while back where he was actually going to defer a good portion of that contract into his later years, like signing some kind of Bobby Bonilla type contract like he did with the Mets.
I don't think they actually are going to pay him from that contract till after it's over.
Yeah, well, he's getting. I did find this.
He's getting some.
Yeah, he's getting $2 million.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's $700 million, and then the guy just deciding to, I'm just going to defer that until after my 10-year contract with the Dodgers. Of course, what the problem with Major League Baseball, and we've talked about this too, is the fact that they do not have a salary cap,
right,
which allows all of these big market teams to gobble up all the talent. We've seen it. Well, I mean, Frankie Lindor, although Lindor's kind of been underperforming since signing with the Mets.
I mean, it was the demise of the 90s Indians.
Yeah.
They broke the bank as much as they could to keep the guys they drafted.
Right.
So, I mean, that's...
They did.
It's the way it goes. It's the way, I mean, that's the small market teams have to build within, and, maybe they can sign 1 or 2 guys in free agency. That's about it.
Right. You get to develop them.
Yeah.
Of course,
Well, at least there's the rule where you could basically keep a guy till they're like 27, 28 if you draft them out of high school or college.
Right.
So.
But Shohei Ohtani is 29 now.
Yeah.
He was...
and international players, I think there's even a little bit more wiggle room for the bigger teams to gobble them up.
So he was drafted by the Angels out of the... Korean Nippa League. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah.
Is it Nippa? Nippa? I mean, it just.
Say it
feel this
voice.
cold Nippa. I mean, it is wintertime. No, it's early spring, I should say. But the $700 million contract, huge. So went ahead and deferred that, but. So the Dodgers went ahead and kind of an unofficial opening to the new Major League Baseball season had a 2-game series that started, I believe it was on Tuesday or Wednesday of this last week with the San Diego Padres. And immediately after game 1 that the Dodgers won, there was news that broke out that Shohei Ohtani's interpreter, which he knew for quite a long time. He's kind of a friend of his, more than friends.
Right.
He's kind of been with him through all this.
He even, if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure he quit his job when the strike happened so he could talk to him.
Right. So the unofficial opener, like I said, in Seoul, South Korea this week, and then Ohtani's new Dodgers team, or I'm sorry, quite the scandal developed. Play this clip. I'm going to give them credit here, kind of in a nutshell, what was going on with Ohtani. It almost seems like a daily soap opera. Whenever you get an ESPN alert, like something new is happening in the Ohtani scandal. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and play this clip from, it was like Good Morning America or some bullshit. I don't know. Something that nobody cares about anymore. But it was a pretty good clip.
This morning, mounting questions over Shohei Ohtani's relationship with his longtime interpreter. Ippei Misuhara was fired by the Dodgers Wednesday after bombshell reports of his alleged connection to a potentially illegal gambling scheme, including allegations that baseball's biggest star has been the victim of a massive theft. The controversy stemming from a report in the LA Times that Ohtani's name came up during a federal investigation into an alleged illegal bookmaker, Matthew.
Bringing criminal charges against someone who was in the very limited trusted circle of the biggest player in Major League Baseball.
According to the AP, the IRS has now confirmed that the interpreter and Boyer are both under criminal investigation. A person familiar with Ohtani and Misuhara's interactions telling NBC News more than $4.5 million was sent from Ohtani's account to an associate of the alleged bookie. But questions remain about what Ohtani knew about the transfer and when. ESPN reporting that the player's own spokesman originally told the outlet that Ohtani transferred the funds and set up a 90-minute interview with Misuhara where he said the same. But the next day, the spokesman disavowed Misuhara's account, and the interpreter also walked back his story.
Now, what happened during that time, we do not know yet. And why this story changed so quickly.
The source familiar with their interactions told NBC News that Misuhara originally told Ohtani's representatives that the player had agreed to cover his debts. The interpreter telling Ohtani's team that Ohtani had been angry with him, but agreed on the condition that Misuhara would never gamble again. But later, the source says, Misuhara said that story was untrue. The source now telling NBC Ohtani found out about the story at this week's Dodgers game in South Korea, where the two were seen joking. Lawyers for the baseball superstar only saying he was the victim of a massive theft, while the alleged bookmaker's attorney saying Ohtani was not involved.
Mr. Boyer never met Shohei Ohtani, never spoke with Shohei Ohtani. The only person he dealt with was Ippei.
So when the news kind of broke with the whole Ohtani thing, I'm like, okay, what's going on? And so Matsuhara, his interpreter, am I pronouncing that correctly? It's Ippei Matsuhara. Like I said, longtime friend, now on the Dodgers payroll, was once on the Angels payroll. It came out earlier, I believe it was like Wednesday. The Matsuhara, when the story broke, he basically was saying that Ohtani knew about his gambling debts, and he went ahead and wired
Frankie Valli back in the day.
Yeah, he wired him that money, even though Ohtani was not happy with the situation because they were really good friends. He went ahead and wired him that money so that he could pay off his gambling debts. Matsuhara immediately changed his story later, just in that afternoon, after it was being reported on the Washington Post. Or no, it's LA Times, I'm sorry. He immediately went ahead and rescinded and said that actually Ohtani knew nothing about, this is the same afternoon, he knew nothing about any of these gambling debts. So apparently we do know this, that the illegal bookmaker was under criminal investigation.
All right.
You can hear that apparently.
Right? That the IRS, how it came to be was the IRS was investigating this illegal bookmaker. I believe his name was Bowyer, that was in California. And to put this in perspective, I know we're in Ohio here. And, beginning of last year, there was a total of 38 states where sports gambling has now become legal.
Right.
California is not one of those states, which is not good for Shohei Ohtani or his interpreter because his interpreter decided to go through we don't know. His interpreter decided to go ahead and go through an illegal bookmaker in California. The IRS was investigating him, and then this shit broke coincidentally on the day that we had the unofficial Major League Baseball kickoff, and in the afternoon, Matsuhiro decided to change his story and say that Ohtani knew nothing about it. Now, Ohtani, apparently you can go ahead as a Major League Baseball player, come to find out, you are allowed to gamble on any sport but Major League Baseball. But you're not allowed to use a legal bookmaker, especially to the tune of $4.5 million. Now, we also said that, remember, that he deferred a lot of his contract, because then you're thinking, like, well, was he able to afford to give wire transfer money even if he knew, well, that's because Shohei Ohtani last year alone made $50 million in endorsement money.
Right.
Another reason why he probably deferred a lot of his contract, till after he retired.
He's making 50 to 100 million a year.
Right.
Just in endorsements.
So I guess what I want to find out is that, how many times is this story going to change? I mean, at first, Matsuhiro decided that, Ohtani knew about it, but he wasn't going to go ahead. Ohtani wasn't happy about it. Then he was going to go ahead and pay off his debts. But then come to find out through a little bit more research that I did that even though Ohtani may have just paid off those debts, it could still put Ohtani in trouble with Major League Baseball.
Probably.
Because now there's an ongoing Major League Baseball investigation that they came out and said that, we already started our Major League Baseball investigation on March 19th. Today's March 23rd. So we went ahead and started it, unbeknownst to you. Now, here's the problem with Major League Baseball is now they're in some kind of situation where you're going with the 1919 Black Sox, or better yet, even more recent history was with Pete Rose.
Right.
Of course, Pete Rose came out with his book in 2004, where he basically admitted to gambling on the Reds as he was a manager slash player. So what say you? Now apparently Pete Rose is also saying that he is he had an interpreter and trying to use that as a way to get out of somehow getting himself into the Hall of Fame. What do you feel about Pete Rose, Ryan?
So I've never really held the belief that, what Pete did was wrong. I'm not really a big, it's like, to me anyway, the way all the bettors know, like, if anybody's throwing shit, anybody's throwing games or whatever, I watched a good podcast with, Joe Rogan had a good,
oh, okay.
I had a guy that's like a legit fucking bettor.
Okay.
And like, they know, like, after the first like couple games, like, if something's happening,
Right.
like, they'll alert, because it's like, that's the way they make their money.
Sure.
So if people can't trust it, So I've never really had. That's such a great CJ. I've never had anything against Pete Rose, and I don't know. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Dude was a stud. What's your opinion on it?
Well, here's my thing, and I've kind of always backed this. Depending on whatever happens, whether it's
now, if he bet on if he bet against himself and threw something, that's one thing. But if you're betting on yourself,
right,
why wouldn't you?
Right, I get it. Because it's hard to believe. Well, that's the problem with Pete Rose, is that, well, number one, it wasn't. The information came out way after, or he was a player. He got barred in 1989. Yeah. He got barred had a Jameis Winston moment. He got barred in 1989 by the current commissioner there. Paul Giamatti, the famous actor, is actually his dad. He was the commissioner of baseball. He got banned at that time. I've always kind of been under the thing, or under the assumption, or no, I shouldn't say assumption. I've always been in the group that believes that you have to play by the rules at the time that the rules were broken. And a great example of this to me is whether the performance-enhancing drugs. And I know you're a Barry Bonds guy, and whether you're a Schilling guy, Clemens guy, Sosa guy.
I am.
You have to play within the confines of it. And I also believe...
And didn't they all? There's no...
Yeah, there's some of them that have kind of admitted to it. We talked about Sosa last week also. That was part of his fallout with the Chicago Cubs organization.
Well, like McGuire.
Yeah.
All of that shit he was doing was legal at that time.
Right. With the Balco or whatever, all that shit with Barry Bonds. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or not the clear, but that was Bonds, right?
Yeah.
Or allegedly.
Mm-hmm. I just believe that you have to work within the confines of the league that you're in. Should Pete Rose get in? Absolutely.
I also think if it's just a segment of your career, like if you're still a Hall of Famer without that or whatever, like to me I get like you have to wait 20 years or whatever, but like at some point, like Barry Bonds was one of the reasons why Major League Baseball was as big as it was at that time.
Absolutely.
So was McGuire, so was Pete Rose, so was
Sosa, Schilling, all
Clemens,
those guys, the bloody sock and the whole nine. I mean, I agree with you on that. The problem,
but like, and how many of these guys that slipped through the cracks with all the
greenies from the 70s,
and the Balco, like that 89 A's, like you tell me it was just Jose and Mark. And Mark was probably not even juicing then, but telling me all those guys weren't juicing back then.
Well, and the thing about that too is nobody's really talking about at that time. Even when all that came out, nobody was really talking about the pitchers,
right?
And it wasn't until like we had Schilling and we had Clemens,
right?
Part of that congressional investigation. Nobody was really bringing any of that up.
Yeah.
I mean, then all of a sudden, no. We
Eric Gagne.
We need to find out about, which guy. Oh, Gagne admitted to it, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, just like Pete Rose did in his book.
Right.
So, I've always been a fan of you have to work within the confines of your contract. And it goes back to even with Josh Gordon. And I'll say this again. Mm-hmm. Josh Gordon, hell of a fucking player. You're smoking weed. I know, weed and stuff's become a lot more legal now, THC. I don't have a problem with it. But it's part of your contract. If your contract says you're about if your contract says that you can't eat mac and cheese for a fucking year, you don't eat it. And I don't care how much you like mac and cheese, you just don't do it.
Or you arbitrate it in court.
Oh, you can. Yeah, absolutely, you can.
Right.
I mean, if that's something you want to do, but then, of course, the league's not going to agree to your contract or whatever contract you have upcoming.
Well, I mean, I get that in the sense of, like, suspensions and things like that, but, like, to keep someone out of the Hall of Fame.
That's a problem.
To me, it's just insane.
I mean, of course, what, was it Manfred? No, Bud Selig, right? Mm-hmm. Bud Selig took over after Giamatti took over. And I think he even made the statement that Pete Rose won't get in there as long as I'm commissioner. Or I'm going to make sure Pete Rose doesn't get in until he's dead.
I do get it, of the fact that they want to make sure that they draw a line with the betting stuff. Because as soon as that crosses the line...
Yes.
I get that to a certain extent. But, dude, it's been fucking 30-plus years now since he's managed, right? I mean, the last year he played was
85?
85.
Was it 85, I think? Maybe?
Something like that.
Because I remember I had some Topps baseball cards, and it was kind of weird to me at the time as a kid. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's the manager, but he's also a player.
Yeah.
It was like manager/player on the team.
Yeah.
This was, post Phillies and all, it was towards the end of his career. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree with you about the whole Hall of Fame thing, but then it's like, well, would those guys be in the Hall of Fame? Would Pete Rose have 4,000 plus hits?
Yeah.
well, I'm not saying Pete Rose was juicing, but I don't understand that as far as him having all those hits, whether he was, should you keep him out because of the whole gambling situation? I can understand more like some of the players of the mid to late 90s, keeping them out because they were juicing.
But the thing is if that's the case, then show me the proof.
Yeah.
If it's just all hearsay, then why is anybody from that?
Are you talking Pete Rose or are you talking McGuire and those boys?
What with them?
Okay.
Like if it's all hearsay, then why is anyone from that time frame going in?
Right.
Ken Griffey said he never did it, but who's to say he fucking didn't?
And nobody knows.
I don't think he did, but if it's just some dude saying that, here's a list of people that possibly they were supposed to be testing these people.
Right.
And if they weren't, then that's on them.
I mean, Ken Griffey, one of the sweetest swings you ever going to want to see.
To me, Barry Bonds is just as sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, although you can definitely see something's happening with Bonds, whether it be the swelling of his gigantic head or whatever, but it was definitely... But my thing with Bonds, and I do agree with you on this, was Bonds was putting up fucking numbers when he was skinny Bonds.
Yeah, nobody talked about him hitting 48 homers, hitting 325, and stealing 50 bases.
Right. So
because you had Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire hitting 60-plus homers.
Agreed. I just think you have to play within the confines of the contract and whatever the rules are at that time. Now, the whole betting thing, this is the problem. This is my take on the whole situation. Shohei Ohtani is the new face of Major League Baseball. Okay, so if you have something like this, and we all know that Major League Baseball has numbers over the years have been dwindling. Mm-hmm. Whether you want to, we just talked about it before where, after signing Shohei Ohtani, the tickets to the Dodgers went up 76%. Mm-hmm. I mean, Doug Gottlieb talked about it on his Fox Sports radio show. If he's going to be the face of Major League Baseball and now all this information comes out about it, wouldn't you believe that Major League Baseball is going to do everything they can do to make sure that he stays as the face of the league?
Getting into Jordan retirement area, aren't we?
We could. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, Major League Baseball, they need to look into that. The numbers keep dwindling for Major League Baseball.
Well, and we've talked about this. If
on more than one occasion.
If MLB wants to be a national sport, again, they need to instill some sort of salary cap.
Yeah.
Because until every team's viable, why the fuck would you care?
Right.
Like the Indians, we had a great run there in the late 20-teens.
Yeah,
with Frankie and Jose.
Yeah.
I mean, Jose, which is why he's one of my, Mount Rushmore Indians of all time.
Right.
Decided to stay with probably half the contract he would have got somewhere else.
Right.
He could be a Dodger. He could be a Red Sox. He could be a...
Even though Lindor decided to go ahead and go to New York.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that shit never happens other than if you're on the coastlines. Right. Or you're in the Texas oil belt. So nobody else in the country gives a fuck.
Right. And that's the problem with Major League Baseball.
Yes.
And that's why we've always been advocates of having Major League Baseball.
That's why the Green Bay Packers are a powerhouse.
Yeah.
In the NFL. That's why the Kansas City Chiefs, that's a mid-market team at best.
Oh, yeah.
At best. Yeah. It's mid-market.
Whether you believe in what the NFL has done or not, or if you care about what the commission has done, Roger Goodell keeps raking in the fucking dough. Yeah. Okay? The NFL has the fucking model. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it starts with that salary cap.
Yeah, because they wanted their dream scenario is every team being 8-8. It's competitive. Every game needs to mean something. But and that's why the Indians and the Cubs World Series drew the biggest numbers it's drawn in a decade and a half.
Right. Because the Cubs were so bad for 100 years. Oh, yeah. Not. I shouldn't say.
And they're not really mid-market, but it's because they
they're the Cubs.
And then the Indians.
And there's a lot of softies for the Cubs.
Yeah. Even I didn't really get nobody. I didn't think we were going that far that year.
No, I
was
didn't
just
either.
happy to be there.
Sure, I was too. And
It was
then,
a hell of a run.
But then you had the taste of
Yeah.
you're up 3-1 and then you blow the fucking series.
Yeah.
And you got to listen to fucking Joe Buck, fucking himself,
Right.
and all that bullshit. And you could tell he was in the tank. One of the reasons why I dislike Joe Buck so much, whether you want to believe that he's a great commentator, with Troy Aikman on NFL and all that shit, I hate that shit. Quit it. I know that you love the Cubs. Just keep it to yourself.
Right.
We're talking about a World Series here. Stop.
Yeah.
The Indians are also kind of a nightmarish franchise. I shouldn't say nightmarish, but kind of a franchise that...
Oh, it was worse than the Cubs.
Yeah.
1948 to 1995, they didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
That was the Cubs didn't have to go through that.
No.
And then we ended up being one of the teams of the 90s. It was the Braves, the Indians, the Yankees, and,
Right.
the Red Sox.
I mean, shout out to the Braves, though. If you're talking about small market, even though...
Well, but it's not really small market.
They're not, because the problem with the Braves is they own so much of that southeast corridor. You're
Yeah,
right.
because the Marlins were never going to get that.
No.
None of those Florida teams.
Even when Tampa Bay won it, it's like...
They were...
Nobody- Nobody cares.
None of that was homegrown. They were...
Yeah.
The owner at that point was spending a bunch of money.
That's true. That's true.
When they beat us in 97, those fucking assholes.
I guess, just to kind of wrap this up, though, on Ohtani, just stay tuned, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen with it and how everything is going to take a detour.
Because if they have to shut him down for the year.
And that's my argument. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Major League Baseball is out in front of this. And they're trying...
They should be.
And I agree with you.
They're clinging on to every bolt and nut.
Yeah. That's the thing, is you went ahead and put...
So,
Go ahead.
do you think it's this dude betting, or do you think this dude's like kind of covering for Shohei betting? Because those Japanese could be heavy bettors.
I don't know. What gives me suspect about the whole situation is the fact that Matsuhira's story changed within one afternoon.
Yeah. As soon as I heard that, I was like, that would... It's almost like he's been told what to say.
Absolutely, he's been told what to say. And then we find out the Major League Baseball Commission has said, oh, yeah, we went ahead and started an investigation, a day before this came out. And then now, Rob Manfred could be calling him up and saying...
If Ohtani wasn't doing that, I'm sure he would be... His agent or himself would be calling the league office.
Sure.
Like, hey, this interpreter that's been working with me has been placing a lot of fucking bets.
Right.
Now, did they say if these bets were baseball bets?
No.
Okay.
According to Matsuhiro, the interpreter, saying that he 100% knew that that's a no-no.
Yeah.
But it's also 100% true that you can't bet in the state of California because it's not one of the 38 states that passed the legalization last year. So there they had to go ahead and go through this illegal bookie. And that's apparently how all this shit came to surface. It's just coincidental that it happened to be on the informal kickoff to the season.
Right. With
that 2-game series with the Dodgers and Padres. So who has it out for him at this point? And then on top of that, just like you said, why is Major League Baseball, they have to be out in front of this. Whether you believe that they're part of this or not, they have to be out in front. And then you have to think to yourself, well, is Major League Baseball helping the Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani, the new face of the league, try to help him cover this up? Because let me ask you this. If this was the NFL and this was something that we found out about Patrick Mahomes,
he'd be out.
Well, no, I'm saying, would the NFL make a call and say, hey, this guy's the face of the league.
But being the face of the league, let's not act like the NFL wouldn't be fine without him. It'd just give him more publicity. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
true.
That's the problem in Major League Baseball is if you don't have him, there goes. I mean, your whole audience is on the coasts,
right?
And the Angels suck. I mean, you got Mike Trout, but they're not good.
No. Mike Trout's getting a little long in the tooth. Too,
right.
So.
And the Giants haven't been good in the last few years. I mean, that's your golden child. That's what you're putting all these ads out for. To watch this dude that cranks 50 homers and throws a sub-3 ERA.
Right.
Which he's beyond Babe Ruth territory at this point to me. Babe Ruth was never that good of a pitcher.
No, he wasn't.
So, I mean, in the NFL, Pat Mahomes, the NFL might be like, oh, is there something here? But they'd be fine.
I guess my question is, would the major or NFL commission put their best foot forward to try to make sure they save Patrick Mahomes as the face of the league? And could that be going on with Major League Baseball and Ohtani here?
Yeah, I mean, I see that in Major League Baseball. The NFL, I think it would be more of a... They're going to try to save it, but if the evidence is there, the evidence is there, he'd have to sit a year. It probably would already be...
At least.
It'd probably already be in...
They might expel him from the league.
Right.
Because he already violated rule, I think it was 21F of the Major League Baseball code.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Major League Baseball needs him. He needs this.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, all right.
I'm saying if it was Pat Mahomes,
okay.
It wouldn't be that big of a deal. He would already be suspended.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Ohtani.
No. Right. Yeah, no, they are. Yeah, believe me. They're trying to probably make sure 100% that he did shit wrong.
Right.
And even if he did, they're probably slowing this process so they can get what they want out of it.
Right.
Maybe a 50-game suspension or something.
Yeah. But then if you only have a 50-game suspension, then you're going to have all the Pete Rose fans are like, what the fuck? You can't put Pete Rose in the fucking Hall of Fame.
But there is a difference. There is a difference. And I'm a Pete Rose Hall of Fame guy. There's a difference there between betting on baseball and betting on others. Even if it's just him going through an illegal bookie, that's a little bit different than betting on the sport that you're playing.
Right.
So I get that, even though, again, it's fucking stupid to me.
Well, part of the whole arm of this, too, is that even if you weren't betting on baseball, which we're going to have to believe Matsuhura if he's saying that he didn't bet on baseball, is the fact that you still... It could come to some kind of bribe situation with all the bookies, whether it be Vegas or whatever. If you're still seeing these other teams day in and day out, you see the players on your teams day in and day out.
Right.
And the underground phone call could be made like, hey, IPA, is this person 100%? What's the other team? And see how it could actually adjust the actual lines with Vegas if we know that this is happening. I shouldn't say if we know it's happening, but it could definitely blur shit, and people already have suspicions with sports gambling.
Right.
It's a problem.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you have to admit it's a problem.
Well,
whether you're betting on baseball or not.
Yeah, so we're going to go into is sports betting a problem, right?
Yes.
Or is legalized sports betting becoming a problem? So in that question I seen, is it more that you're worried about the competitive nature of sports, or is it a problem in the how it looks to the public?
Right. Well, I think it all comes down to the betting public now, because there's so many people that are on board with sports betting, and the average sports bettor, even before all the legalization became, they've even talked about where the Joe Schmo that's betting has become a sharper bettor. And by sharper bettor, we mean they're a smarter bettor. So they've had to make adjustments, or I should believe that Vegas or some of the major books have made adjustments to still try to keep that edge with, Joe Schmo and the regular,
right.
Who didn't at one time didn't know that much about sports gambling, but now they do know much about sports gambling. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think anytime a business model like this expands this quickly, there's going to be issues. But I think at the heart of it, I don't, I'm not one to say that games are completely rigged.
I'm not going that far either.
I will say though that even in that some players in certain sports get officiated differently, that will always be the case.
Okay. I believe that too.
Some teams get officiated a bit differently in every sport.
Right.
If the Yankees go to Game 7, the strike zone's probably going to be a little bit different.
True.
If the Indians play the Braves, let's say in 1995, just spitballing here, maybe the strike zone's a bit different for a certain team.
I'm going to take a piss break.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So, I mean, that I think, and that's always been there, and that was when sports betting was literally only in New Jersey and Vegas?
Yes, Atlantic City and Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Las Vegas. No, you couldn't do it in Atlantic City. Las Vegas had
Is it Vegas only?
lockdown on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I get that. And, there's always going to be bad apples. But like I said earlier, for these big institutions now that are basically printing money, they have to make sure that this is legit, or people will stop sending in their money to bet. So, to me, there's going to be hiccups and things along the way, and I'm not a big bettor, that, and people enjoy it. I like to bet every now and again. During the NFL season, I'll throw $20 and make a couple, $3 or $4 or $5, $8 bets or whatever I want to do for that weekend. But I don't know. I don't think there's too much mob activity happening anymore with the referees and all that stuff. So, I mean, we'll only know more when more comes out. But I don't know if you heard anything I said, but
I did a little bit.
Okay.
Through my piss stream. I do want to bring up this. This is kind of a little bit of breaking news, though, too, to kind of tap into that sports betting thing that we go on. Come to find out that the NBA League Pass, is very similar to the NFL Sunday Ticket or Major League Baseball, whatever the fuck they call it. The NBA League Pass starting, I don't know if it's going to be this season or next season, is going to make it so that if you purchase the NBA League Pass, you're going to be able to bet games, spreads, totals, no player props, but you're going to go ahead and be able to bet those games live from your couch through a new app that's partnered with them called Sports Radar. And going back to the abuse of sports gambling, whether you believe it's the abuse of sports gambling or not, you're going to be able to sit on your couch. You're going to be able to go ahead and live bet LeBron James against Steph Curry at the game, or as you are watching the NBA League Pass.
Right. Well,
So-
again, that's ease of access. Doesn't mean I think that betting's going to change
Right.
outcomes. I mean, we've all had bad beats,
Yes.
horrible beats,
I mean, SVP has a whole fucking show that's dedicated to it.
Yeah.
Late at night. Love Scott.
and he has before, and
Yeah.
even before sports betting was legal anywhere. Mm-hmm. You had to call a guy. You had to know.
You
a guy.
did. You had to know a guy.
I mean, I'm for.
Kind of like Otani's interpreter knew a guy.
I'm pretty fucking libertarian. Do what you want.
I agree. I'm with you. I 100% agree with you on that. I mean, if you have a $4.5 million debt, it's nobody's fucking problem but yours.
Right.
and Otani apparently. So, it just, the whole thing seems weird to me, though, going back to Otani a little bit, that how it come to find out also, Otani speaks English. Okay.
Well, that's like Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
He speaks English, but decides not. Or
Yeah. So his interpreter, though, apparently came to the United States when he was 7. He is truly bilingual. Whether Otani really is or not, we don't know that.
Price. I mean, he probably speaks good enough English and understands good enough English,
But when some of the players were also asked from the Angels organization earlier this week, they were talking about how Ippa Matsuhura was almost kind of like one of the boys.
right. Oh, hell
It's
yeah.
almost like a security blanket for Otani at this point.
Right.
You don't really need the guy. By the way, the Dodgers went ahead and fired him immediately on Wednesday.
Well, I'm sure Otani will have him on a payroll somewhere at some point.
Yeah.
Might be getting some Bitcoin randomly.
Kind of like the legal bookie that's under the IRS investigation. Going back to the league pass deal, though, I've also heard some reports, and I think somebody on the Cavs was talking about this too, how they felt that they were just a prop bet. There's been people on courtside that are yelling at players to take shots because they needed the over or they needed the under. And this is where the real problem lies with it. No, it's not me. I would do it if I was there. But I haven't hit that grand.
I mean, we're just doing it from our couch.
Yeah, we are. No, but I guess there's actually guys that are courtside.
Shoot the J.
That
Shoot it.
Shoot it. They have paid for those seats.
Yeah.
And now they're live betting the NBA player prop bets. Kyrie Irving, I saw a video about this. I think it was at a Mavericks game, where there's a guy that was yelling at him like, "Shoot the fucking three! Shoot the fucking three! Stop it!" And here it's starting to kind of wane on the players a little bit.
Oh, fuck yeah! I'm not saying there's not going to be some more toxicity in the building. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you get paid all that fucking money. You could block out the noise.
Block it out. Make your shot, right?
And if them yelling makes you shoot a three, okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like they're putting a gun to his head.
Right. And so you're what you're basically saying is you're being soft because you have to hear people courtside. Yeah. You know, and if you're going back to you're getting paid all this fucking
You're telling
money,
me Bill Russell didn't hear some people yelling some shit courtside?
I agree. No, that I'm 100% agreeing with that. I'm just saying if you can't handle that shit,
right,
then get the fuck out.
Right. And I'll give him a benefit of the doubt for the first little bit that, you know, that's a change, I'm sure, from what it's been like.
I'm sure it is.
A little bit, you know, but you're going to have to get through it.
Right.
People are betting on this shit. There's money on the line.
Absolutely.
And guess what? Their money paid for the tickets. That fucking DraftKings bullshit's going into the NBA.
Right.
Part of the reason you're making all that money is people are fucking betting. So they're going to have to...
Come to find out, through some of my investigation, there actually is 4 NBA locales that have betting partners via the game right now. One of those is Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
I bet.
So they're all about it. I mean, because if you can't get your money through a syntax to help
all right.
If you can't get your money through a syntax to go ahead and build new stadiums facilities, we're gonna go ahead and install betting deals right inside. Here's my thing. When's it going to come? I mean, you always see these quarterbacks on the sidelines with in the NFL. Look at the Microsoft Surface. How do we know they're not betting shit on those Microsoft Surface and they become a fucking...
All right. They're running floppy. Hit the over on the 3.
Right. How do we know that's not happening? We don't know. We don't see what's on those.
Well, I'm sure...
It's probably not,
But, I mean, I'm sure there's also been people that have gotten away with it. Like, if I was that dude, I'd be like, dude, I'm going to make some money tonight. And if you do it once or twice, you could probably get away with it. But it's the people...
Sure.
That keep doing it.
Right.
That's when you get fucked up.
Sure. All right. Stay on top of the alerts when it comes to Shohei Ohtani and whatever's happening or whatever you believe is not happening with an interpreter. I mean, obviously, I'm going to go ahead. I have a whole room of degenerates. Okay. One of them, Pete Rose is in there. Shohei Ohtani has a chance to make that group, along with the wide receiver that just signed with Jacksonville from out of Alabama. I'm losing it right now. Or he was with yes. He was drafted by the Falcons. Calvin Ridley now just signed with Tennessee Titans. I mean, all these guys kind of have a soft spot. He's going to be in my D-Gens only room. That's fine. But it's going to be interesting to see how Major League Baseball what's going to happen with all this.
Yeah. Well, and the way the story broke, too, like, it's evolving. So obviously there's some shit that they don't want to be uncovered. And to me as a baseball fan, and not that I watch fucking baseball that much anymore, but I do love the sport. It would suck because that dude
he's amazing.
Once in a generation, once in a lifetime.
I mean, I really want the Dodgers just to use him as a hitter. Just stop. We know Ohtani got hurt last year, playing like both ways, like Iron Man baseball. I just think it would be better if you would just lay off the pitching. You have the pitching there when it comes to the Dodgers, and just go ahead and let him be a hitter. That's how I feel about it.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of that shit. Like, go out there, be a man.
Be a man? You like the National League rules? Is that what you're saying?
They have a DH. He can pitch and DH.
Right. Oh, okay. So on the other,
they did have him playing some center field at some point, I think.
Okay. Because I thought he was playing. Was he playing center field? Or was he playing first?
He could have been first.
Okay. He's playing field regardless.
Baseball. Another reason why baseball sucks is you can't fucking watch anything.
Yeah.
Unless it's on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
Right.
Even your local team. I used to be able to watch 148 of the 162 Indians games.
Right.
And I'd probably watch 100 of them.
Right.
Now it's impossible. You got to pay fucking. I don't even know. You can't even get them on the Valley app. I was gonna do that.
No, that was part of the stuff we reported before. Was Amazon went ahead and bought some of the Diamond League, the Diamond Pass.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go ahead and take some of that over, as if Jeff Bezos wasn't fucking rich enough.
Right.
He's gonna go ahead and just like Thursday Night Football, he's gonna go ahead and buy that part of Bally for some of the more smaller market teams. Right. And we're going to keep following them. I mean, it's smart on their part.
Yeah, because if you want to watch them, you have to fucking pay for it every month. Which, and network television is just going to get fucked, which I don't care. But
I don't care either.
I just like, goddamn, how much goddamn money do I have to spend to watch my team, my hometown team that's an hour away? Right.
All right. We're going to go ahead and pivot over to some more of the NFL news, free agency. Browns went ahead this week, and there's a few different signings. Browns went ahead and signed Jerry Jeudy to an extended contract this week after touting that they restructured his $13 million last week. Come to find out that it was actually part of. They had to go ahead and restructure, right? They had to go ahead because they went ahead and signed him to this contract that automatically restructured his deal. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the extension is now worth up to $58 million and includes $41 million guaranteed. Do you have a problem with that?
Nope.
No.
I know you do.
A little bit. I'm going to tell you this. I have a problem with it because I feel like the Browns already have him on that fifth-year option. And hear me out, and you and I went back and forth about this. I feel like let him play. And if he starts producing next year and you want to go ahead and sign him at that point, and I'm not an NFL GM. I'm admitting that. But if you want to go ahead and sign him after he plays out his existing contract, then do it. If the guy produces, he produces. If not, let him go. I mean, you already got him for the $13 million or restructured $3.5.
Okay, so how did you feel when we gave David Njoku all that money last year?
I wasn't good. If you go back on our podcast, I wasn't good about it. I wasn't a fan of it. Really?
If you remember.
Now, yes, I do. But now, Njoku's contract panned out. He balled out, especially in the latter part of the season.
But he is a top 5 paid tight end, and he played like it.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy is getting paid like a number 2 receiver.
Okay. So
he's not even getting paid $20 million a year.
are you in the camp that the Browns are setting the market
For what?
with Jerry Jeudy?
Setting what market though?
Are setting the market for like the number 2 receivers in the league?
No.
Okay.
It's already been set. That's what they're basing his performance off of. He hasn't hit plateaus that you want him to hit as a number 1 wide receiver.
Right.
As a first round draft pick. But he's shown that he can get separation. He's got like one of the best per catch averages in the league in the last 3 years. It's like 14 and a half, 15 and a half.
I agree.
And even if it doesn't pan out the way you want it to, I think their viewpoint is this is a young guy with all the potential in the world. And I still think that they're going to get a wide receiver in the draft because it's loaded with them. And I think they also understand that, you know, as much good as this front office has done the last 3-4 years, they have been able to hit wide receivers in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Jerry Jeudy is a guy that is, to me, probably one of the better wide receiver 2 options in the league, with the upside potential to be your number 1 moving forward. He's only 24 years old.
Right.
And he's played with.
That's a great point. That he is super young.
Yeah, and that was. I will get. That's why I really like Andrew Berry. I think they see guys and they like every time we heard about Jerry Jeudy 2 years ago about wanting to trade for him. I think they see guys with the skill set that they really like. I mean, we heard about Deshaun Watson after we went to the playoffs with Baker. We all laughed about it. And then the next year he was here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's always a plan. I think this guy's playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. I think he learned a lot in Philly when he was there. Like, to me at this point, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and it's not like this is breaking the bank.
Okay.
Now, if they would have paid him $35 million a year, yeah, that's one thing. But and not all that's guaranteed. So you're talking about
$41 million is guaranteed.
Yeah, and that's okay over 3 years.
Yes.
What, 14? Around 14 mil, a little under 14 mil.
It's still Andrew Berry kicking the can down the road, though, right?
And they're going to keep doing that.
Okay. Until we have a winner, right?
Yeah.
That's Berry's mindset.
Yeah, because Haslam's going to keep writing checks.
Right. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean,
like, to me, I'd never really give a fuck about who they pay and how much they pay him because they have smart guys in there that know how to work the cap.
Okay.
So obviously they see something in him, and like watching him, I think him paired with Amari, with Elijah in the slot, and you know all 3 of these guys can basically play every position. And it's going to come down to can Deshaun stay healthy?
Right.
Because if he does, they're going to be fine.
Okay.
I mean,
and staying healthy, I mean, that's not even. Do we just need him? We talked about this before. At this point, and given the weapons that he has, we don't even need him to stay not healthy. We need him to be competent. We don't need him to be a Pro Bowler, right?
yeah.
We just need him to be like top 10, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm going to throw this out there, top 10.
Yeah.
Right? Just be.
But again, like you're talking, and that would be like the totality of probably the yearly stats. But what we do need from him is what we saw against Baltimore in the second half.
Agreed.
When you're playing probably, you know, other than us, the best defense in the league, on the road, down by 2 scores,
Right.
and you go and win the game.
Right.
And you're perfect.
Right.
That's what we need. We don't need, everyone's like, oh, Flacco threw for all these yards. Well, he threw for a lot of picks, too. You need somebody that can go fucking win a game in the 4th quarter, not shit down their leg.
Right.
And, you know, triple pump fake shit. Had to throw that in there.
Right. Perfect. So, also signing this week, of course, we talked about it a little bit last week, is Jameis Winston, just former number 1 draft pick out of Florida State, went ahead and penned his his signing with the Browns.
You know, before any of this was even talked about, did I not say I wanted this to happen?
You did. You did. Can't believe it, but, I don't know. Time will tell. I mean, I'm going to say this again. I'm not a big fan of what Jameis did in week 17 last year. But the problem is here's my thing.
That's the coach's fault more than what. Obviously,
I agree.
Obviously, Dennis Allen has had multiple stops as a head coach at this point.
Right.
And he ruined a pretty good Saints team to me.
All right. So I want you to play this video, though, of Jameis Winston on the Pat McAfee take on Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston is in the Cleveland Browns building.
Yes.
And we're already getting a couple, videos out of the facility. He took a snap yesterday in the weight room in a full suit with a jacket on his first day in there, and gave a cadence. Said, we're running 18 and 19. We're running 19. Yeah, I'm going to go this way. Guy trying to get his offseason workout. Yeah, I got it. And hands off. A great facility, by the way.
Yeah.
Beautiful facility. Punters would bomb balls off the roof of that thing every single rep, so that's a little bit disappointing. Maybe we make the roof a little bit higher. This is the pros, but Luke Rose is right over, looking over top of Jameis Winston right there. Otto Graham, look at the legends kind of scattering the building around there. And then Jameis Winston's right in the middle of a workout. Strength and conditioning assistant there with the foam rollers. Like, we're in the middle of a warm-up, but yeah, Jameis needs to get some snaps. I get it. Make sure you feel comfortable in this Cleveland air doing center quarterback exchange. He also made a video for the Browns fans. And I don't know if they watch it and said there's no flub, send it, but I do appreciate that they sent this one out. Here's Jameis's hello to the dog pound.
Public service announcement. Dog pound.
Okay.
What's up?
All right. I'm sure they could have shot that a couple more times.
No
flub, send it. Public service announcement. Let's keep it moving. Jameis is a wizard with the words. He is a weapon whenever he's around. And he said all he's trying to do is bring out the greatness in Deshaun Watson. That young man has so much potential. I'm here to help bring it out. Hell yeah, Jameis. We need you making selfie videos for the Browns social. We need you taking snaps fully clothed in the gym. We need the motivational speeches before the game. I am so pumped that Jameis Winston is back in the NFL in a big way. And congrats to the Cleveland Browns. Getting old, eating Dubs man himself in there and letting him be himself.
Yeah.
Letting him be himself, which I think is the biggest deal.
All right, so Pat McAfee's all in about Jameis Winston. If Jameis decides that he is going to go ahead and be the backup to Deshaun, and he's just going to be the rah-rah guy in the building, regardless of my feeling about what happened last year, that's fine. That's fine.
Well, and the guy, all right, so, as much as I don't think it's going to happen again, if something does happen with Deshaun, the dude can go out there and fucking slang it.
He can. And we talked about this last week. I feel like Jameis Winston, that was my opinion, I feel like he is a 10-year younger Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
He's that guy. He's the guy that he can ball out, but then he can give you the dagger at the same time.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like, that's your backup fucking quarterback.
Right.
And not to mention we signed a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, I did have that down in the rundown that Tyler Huntley. Jameis pointed that out actually walking down the corridor.
No, to me, all right, so, and I get why I love Joe. Dude, I have his fucking jersey at home. But Deshaun's our quarterback. They brought in a guy that has the talent. They brought in a guy that's going to make him comfortable in the quarterback room.
Right.
Why would you want anything else than that?
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm a fucking Browns fan. I want to see him win.
Yes.
I want Deshaun to be the best Deshaun that I've ever seen.
Outside of Joe Flacco, that's the thing.
Joe Flacco was out of necessity.
Right.
And our offense is changing.
Okay.
You don't want to have, am I wrong? Like, do you want your first quarterback to be a mobile quarterback and your backup quarterback to be a duck back there? I mean, he was more mobile than we getting credit for.
Right. Right.
It's a two, he's the old offense that we were running.
Okay.
And we're shifting to a modern offense, that's what we need to do.
Okay. I mean, regardless of my feelings, my opinions on Jameis Winston, he definitely brings something to the locker room. I mean, he brings something.
Has ever said anything negative about
right. Well, they didn't say it about Odell Beckham either.
Right. Well,
right. But I'm just saying.
They did say it about someone else that was in that same locker room.
Okay, but if he galvanizes the locker room and he is determined to take his role as the number
he's
two,
been a backup for,
and he has, right?
He's not one, and I was in the train of thought, why the hell wasn't he playing for the last 2 years?
Right.
Well, even before they got Derek Carr.
Right.
So it's like, what the hell?
Although you and I were both on Derek Carr and the big contract he got last year with the Saints. You and I are both Derek Carr fans, I think.
Yeah,
I feel.
yeah.
So.
Well, when he got hurt and stuff, but.
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't mean Jameis over Derek, but.
Oh, okay, all right. I just feel like if Jameis is going to be the guy that everybody kind of rallies around in the locker room, that's fine. That's fine. If he's able to go ahead and accept the role, which from Jameis Winston, he is going to try to help Deshaun Watson, that's fine with me. That's why it doesn't matter what kind of contract he has.
And that's probably partly Deshaun's choice. Why wouldn't it be?
Mm-hmm.
It's his quarterback room.
Okay.
Why would you want him to be as most comfortable as possible? I know people hate him. Okay, you can hate him for whatever you believe he did or didn't do or whatever. He's still the quarterback. He's still QB1. He still has all that guaranteed money.
Right.
He's been to 2 or 3 Pro Bowls.
Although we know Jameis Winston still has all that shit, that baggage from Florida State, and whether the shit happened in the lunchroom and all that stuff. I mean, we don't know. So maybe that's also.
He does.
Maybe that's also why he feels camaraderie with Jameis Winston. Is that what we're saying? Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I did see the thing with Zagura.
But to me, Jameis is one of the most hilarious people I've ever seen in my life.
He is funny. I mean, I'm not dogging on that at all. I just, Jameis Winston did come out and say in the Browns building, and he talked about it on Zagura's show, that he just wants to see Deshaun, and he's talking about he knows the problems Deshaun is having being an African-American quarterback from the Deep South.
Right.
And whether he wants to go ahead and kind of mentor him.
Yeah. And he's the number one overall pick.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, to me, it makes sense. If Joe came back and I was on the train like, fuck, bring him back.
I was too.
But now, to me, it's like, why even create that bullshit? Because
right.
then, if he comes back, what is the conversation going to be the entire offseason?
Right. And we know how the Browns fans are.
It's not. It's Browns fans and it's the national media. And as much as players can try to tune that out, they're not going to.
Okay, let me ask you this: do you feel like do you feel like Deshaun Watson's soft,
No.
and that's why they had to get Flacco out of the building? Because,
That's so stupid.
well, I'm just saying.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever.
Well, that's the argument, though, is that Deshaun Watson has such a low self-esteem that they had to get Joe Flacco out of the fucking building because he's so afraid is what the Browns fans are going to say as soon as he might throw a pick or not win a game for him.
Well, they're going to do that regardless, whether it's Jameis or Joe.
Okay. But Jameis can handle it because he gives zero fucks.
Yeah, well, and I also think for what Deshaun has already gone through with Browns fans and NFL fans, to say he's soft, to me, it's like, why add the other bullshit? To just bank on the fact that Joe has to go out there.
Mentally
at
soft.
40 years old.
Mentally soft.
How is he mentally soft?
I'm just saying this is what the argument's been as to why the Browns didn't re-sign Flacco.
That is the stupidest.
And they're going to
ever.
sign some fucking boob called Jameis Winston.
How about the organization doesn't want to deal with the bullshit?
Right.
Because you have a quarterback that is in the prime of his career, and if he makes one bad pass, the whole fucking team has to deal with, let's put Joe in.
Okay.
That is so stupid.
So it's not Deshaun Watson. The organization's looking out for the entire team, is what you're saying.
It's just, it makes sense. How can it not make sense? And Jameis Winston, ask anybody in the NFL, he's a top 2 to 3 backup quarterback. And Jameis Winston, to me, is a top 32 quarterback in the league.
Probably
a top 25.
Over Baker?
Yes. 100% yes. There's no fucking question about it.
I do like this. I'm going to throw this out there, too. I saw the top comment on the Pat McAfee clip that was right here when he said, yeah, you probably should have taken, another 2 or 3 different takes to go ahead and get Winston from fumbling over what he wanted to say. And the first person in the comments was, Pat, this was take 49. I do love that. He's like, Pat, it was take 49. He still fucked it up.
Used to pump fakes in Cleveland.
All right. Hey.
No, it's just it's not being soft. It's like, why even bring the pressure?
Right.
Oh, so we put Joe in and he doesn't have the magic that happened in 4 weeks over a whole season?
Are you saying this? Let me ask you this. If Deshaun Watson doesn't perform in the first few weeks of the next season, do you think those Cleveland fans are not going to be calling for Jameis Winston, even though we know?
They will. That's what I'm saying. As soon as he throws an incomplete pass, that should have been a completion. Somebody had 2 yards of separation.
So are you saying the team or Deshaun Watson can handle it because they know that Jameis Winston's a fucking boob rather than Joe Flacco? I'm just saying.
No, that has not. Joe Flacco or Jameis Winston has pedigree in the league. Okay. Guy threw for 5,000 yards.
Joe Flacco has fucking pedigree in the league too.
Yeah, well, he did that 10 years ago.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's fair enough. So he doesn't. I guess what I'm saying is. So you're saying that Joe Flacco's over the hill, and I'm not saying that.
Okay,
I'm saying, do you think he goes over the hill?
Why would you chance? Why would you chance any of this? Not even chance it, but why would you bring that bullshit into the building all off season during the season when you could have a quality backup that knows his role, that doesn't have this bullshit with the fan base, that doesn't have, it's going to be coming down from NFL Network because everybody across the media landscape hates Deshaun Watson. It's just that easy for them to like, well, Joe threw for 300 yards. Why even fucking do that?
That's true.
But you're bringing in a guy that obviously Deshaun likes, that has thrown a lot of touchdowns in this league, has won games in this league, that if he goes out there, are you going to be like, oh, we're not going to win this game? I sure feel a hell of a lot better with him than I do PJ Walker, and he beat the team that.
Do you feel better than
Super Bowl?
Do you feel better than Joe Flacco coming in though? Really?
It's fucking right here.
It's right there. Although you get Jameis Winston, I said this, a lot younger than Flacco.
Yeah, it's a lot younger. It's a different offense. They had to change the whole offense. And last year, it was literally. That's why Kevin Stefanski got Coach of the Year. You had your tackles out. You had your best running back out. You had your 4th string, 5th string quarterback. That's not going to happen again.
Is there any connection between Ken Dorsey and Jameis Winston? I didn't look that up, actually.
I mean, he was in Buffalo. I don't think so. I don't think he was ever in Tampa. But no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, to people to just think that Joe's going to come in and play like that again.
That's the problem, though. I mean, this is like...
It was a month slate of games. And he wasn't perfect in all of them. I was at the Bears game. It was horrible.
Yes. I brought this up several times. It was. The Browns should have probably lost that game. I mean, Flacco just throwing shit out there that he probably shouldn't have thrown. So Jameis Winston with his now repaired LASIK surgery eyes could come in there. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to bring something up. A couple other signings this week. Browns signing former Bears and Panthers running back Deontay Foreman. I do really, really like this signing.
I do too.
I do love this signing, because if this guy could be also a much, much younger back, drafted by the Panthers, went to the Bears last year, now coming to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, no, to me, we already signed Naeem Hines. I think I think they're going to be ready for everything. We talked about that before we went live here.
What's going on?
He said I sounded distant.
I'm sorry.
I think I fixed it.
Okay.
But no, I like what they're doing. I think these people think we need to make all these big splashes, and I think your big splash was at wide receiver.
Hopefully, right?
Hopefully, yeah, and yeah, there's risk reward there. I'm not going to say that it's 100%, but I like the move. The guy's obviously shown he can play in the fucking league.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe let's give him a quarterback that's not Drew Lock or Russell Wilson.
Okay.
And I think at running back they're getting good depth there with not just throwing a rookie in there and hoping it works out.
Here's my thing with the depth, and I texted you earlier this week. Because you're signing the Naeem Hines and you're signing Deontay Foreman, is this some kind of overshadowing as to how well Nick Chubb how his repair of his knee is going to be come week 1? Do you think is there anything to that at all? Or is
well, I mean, yeah, there is. That's the hell of an injury he went through.
Yeah.
They want to be ready, and they have the cap space to do it, so why not go out and get somebody?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a cheap fix.
Okay.
I trust Naeem Hines, and I trust Deontay Foreman if Chubb has to wait a month to come back, if that's possible.
Who is not staying in that running back room because
Hunt's gone.
No.
Cream's
I'm
gone.
saying even between Naeem Hines, Nick Chubb, Deontay Foreman.
I think Jerome Ford's gone.
I do too.
But I also think that if Pierre Strong will have a case to beat
Pierre Strong, yeah,
he'll have a case to beat one of those guys out.
Okay.
So
all right.
I think it'll be a 3 running back cares. They want to have probably 2 more on the roster, even if Nick Chubb's healthy. And then one of those guys will be on the.
No chance in your mind that Nick Chubb does not come back until week 4 or 5. And
there's a chance.
Andrew Berry knows this.
There's a chance, but I don't think he knows that. Everything that they've said, he's ahead of schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And just like Deshaun's supposed to be throwing in minicamp,
so Andrew Berry he's making the running back room open. He's being competitive, right?
Yeah.
He's being competitive. Go win your fucking spot.
Right.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good enough. I like Deontay Foreman. I like him a lot. I just on my take, I like him. I think once again he's young. I think he's a younger back. I like what he brings to the room. I like the fact that he's been on a couple different teams now. I just feel like he can pound the ball.
Yeah.
And if he has to be your one, he can be your one.
Yeah.
I love that about him.
I think him and Naeem Hines could.
Yeah.
You could switch them in and out almost interchangeably. They're different runners, but I think
I think
they could get 12 to 15 touches a game, and you're all right.
I just feel like Deontay Foreman would be your number 1 back. That I feel like that's how
he's your first, second down back.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. The other signing this week, Cleveland Browns have signed cornerback Tony Brown and defensive tackle Quentin Jefferson, who's been in the league for 9 years. And
I thought I brought him up last week. That's the guy from the Jets.
Oh, did you? Yeah, from the Jets. He's been around about 4 different teams. He's going in his 9th league. And also wide receiver James Prochet. Of course, we got Naeem Hines now. We don't know how that's going to work out as far as running backs or as far as punt returns, kickoff returns.
Right.
We don't know how the whole jet ski incident happened with Naeem Hines. But now you have James in the locker room with the other wide receivers.
Right.
how are we feeling about Quentin Johnston and also cornerback Tony Brown? So, any
special
takes
teams
on that? Oh, it's strictly special teams.
Tony Brown, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, not going to be any interchangeable in the secondary at all.
Oh, I think he's played there, so he has that ability. But I think he's going to be a special teams guy, going to be your gunner. They lost. I can't remember the dude that they lost special teams wise this year, but I think that's going to be the main thing. And I think we'll probably get into it, but the whole Cam Sutton thing, I think maybe the Greg Newsome trade rumor mill might
yeah, it's true.
Grow a little bit, which
yeah,
again, if we can get a solid future wide receiver in this draft, it's deep of them.
Okay.
Why not?
Deep. Going deep. Quentin Jefferson is entering his 9th NFL season out of Maryland.
Yep.
With Terps. Jefferson was selected by Seattle in the 5th round of the 2016 draft and has appeared in 103 career games with 62 starts with the Seahawks, Bills, Raiders, Jets. He's been around.
Yeah.
So this may be going back to also having some of that veteran leadership in the locker room.
Yeah, and he's produced everywhere he's been.
I mean, is Jameis Winston, is he like a veteran leadership in the locker room at this point?
Jameis Winston, veteran leader?
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to deter any of that.
Okay. No, I'm just saying. Into that quarterback locker room or anything. Is he considered a veteran leader at this point?
He's been in the league, 7 years now? 6 years?
Yeah, like 2016, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Also, big news that broke earlier today. The Browns going back to Cade York.
I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either. Signing Cade York, we don't really need a whole lot of backups at the kicking position unless you are the fucking Cleveland Browns and you went ahead and took another flyer.
They're ready for everything.
Yeah, okay. And that's fine.
And why not? The dude has a cannon of a leg.
He does. Keep between the posts.
Yeah, and Hopkins is, everyone don't panic. Hopkins is under contract until 2025. Mm-hmm. So that's not going to change.
Would have been a Pro Bowler last year, wasn't for injury, right?
I thought he.
Did he?
I thought he was a Pro Bowler.
Okay, all right.
But for injury, he might not have actually played in the Pro Bowl games. Right. But to me, he should have been an All Pro. I thought he had a better season than.
How do you tackle a place kicker with a fucking waistband flag? How do you do that?
I don't know.
No, I don't either.
Well, he wouldn't have played in the actual game. He would have played in whatever the fuck they do now.
Like best kicker with Justin Tucker from the 40. That'd been great. That'd been kind of cool.
Yeah.
That'd been kind of cool. All right. The other big, I don't think we talked about it last week either, was Justin Fields now being traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 6th round conditional pick that could elevate to a 4th round depending upon playing time, 51% of the snaps.
So, are the Browns soft because they didn't trade for Justin Fields?
Oh, no.
Okay. Just wanted to clear that up.
Well,
that would have been, to me, it would have been cool, but again, that's just why do it?
No,
that's something you do next year.
I think Justin Fields. First off, are you alarmed that the Steelers went ahead and got Russell Wilson?
So I was
immediately made the trade for Justin.
I was talking to somebody about this today. To me, it screams quarterback controversy. It screams horrible locker room toxicity.
I love it.
And I love every second of it. I would have been...
Gotta piss again.
I would have been very scared.
All right.
I would have been very afraid.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Fuck up, Donnie. I would have been very afraid if they had just traded for Justin Fields. And he would have been your number one. That's the guy you're going with and moving forward with. So I feel like that's the kind of guy that can win in the AFC North. But to have them both in that same quarterback room, you have Captain Cringe and Justin Fields trying to solidify that he's a starter in the league. I don't see that working well. I think this is like the start of the Pittsburgh knowing what it feels like to not have a quarterback. Well, not even the start of, but like it's going to get more toxic as it goes along because they still have defensive pieces and T.J. Watt and everything they got up front with Cam Hayward. But I think this is the year that they crumble. And them crumbling is like 8-9, and I think this is the year that they go under 500. And it's going to be great to watch Russ suck as a Steeler, because if you told me 5 years ago Russell Wilson was going to be a Steeler, I would have hated that. But now it's, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like to me like it's going to be something that works. They trade away Deontay Johnson. George Pickens couldn't handle tiny hands Kenny Pickett. How's George Pickens going to handle a guy throwing a danger witch?
Oof. That's
where
we're at.
Well, I mean, like I was saying, if it was just Justin Fields in that QB room, it would be a different animal to me. But
Okay.
the toxicity of them, Russ ain't just going to step aside.
Right.
I don't care how much they're paying him.
Let's go back to the Flacco situation, right? I mean, Russ is quite a bit younger than Joe Flacco.
Mm-hmm.
Russ definitely thinks he can keep playing in the league.
Yeah.
He just doesn't think he has a great opportunity,
Well,
whether you believe that he was part of a system with Pete Carroll or not, right?
Right.
He's not. And Steelers already come out and they've said that he's going to be the starter week 1. They also had that. 50,
Well, they also said that Kenny Pickett was their guy moving forward.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. I mean, over under that the Steelers have to give up the 4th for the conditional pick because they play Justin Fields 51% of the snaps. Are they going to fuck around?
So, well, what's the under?
All right, so
The under 51%?
yeah, the conditional pick is they go from a 6th to a 4th if Justin Fields plays 51%.
I'll say
of the
over.
snaps.
I
agree.
I think they start out like sluggish, like 2-4, 3-3, and it doesn't look good, and they're going to go to
You want my hot take?
What?
Justin Fields wins the starting position
right out the gates.
right out the gates.
Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like that quarterback controversy, and then Russ might get cut again.
Sure.
Because why would you want him? And I'll give Russ this. He could be your backup and
You all right over there?
not make a. Yeah.
I felt you going like. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm doing this. Oh
Okay.
no, I'm fat.
I love it. Rare.
No. I could see him being like the backup and not making a big fuss out of it. But
I can't. No. He has too many fucking Subway sandwiches. He can't do that. He's not gonna fucking do that. He's not gonna do it for $1.2 million league minimum. He's not
the
doing
Broncos
it.
are still paying him to not play for them.
No, that's what I'm saying.
How hilarious would
Russ,
it be?
a week. Go ahead.
How hilarious, sorry. What if Justin Fields beats him out week 1, Aaron Rodgers is VP, and he goes and plays for the Jets, and the Jets are paying him. the Jets are getting paid to play him at QB1.
Oh.
And to tell me the odds on that not happening, not that bad.
I wouldn't bet it on Ipam Mezakura's bookie. No, I actually think. Here's what I think. I think Russ got blindsided. Whatever you think about Russ, I think he got blindsided.
Well, hell, they were in the fucking playoff hunt last year, and he got benched.
Yeah. No, but I think he got blindsided when he came to the Steelers. Came there for the league minimum for 1.2 and change. All right?
Yeah, he was acting like
Then
that's his franchise now.
Immediately, they go ahead and trade with the Bears, who I think the Bears totally fucked up, because if they were good, no, listen to me. If the Bears were going to go ahead and make this trade, they should have done it way earlier. and I think that Justin Fields'
Well,
draft stock kept
that's
dropping.
where they fucked up.
That's where the Bears fucked up.
Or even at this point, if you're going to get a 6-rounder for him, why don't you just start Justin week 1 and play it till the wheels fall off? Because even if he does play well, you have Caleb Williams that you could trade for God what? Somebody's going to trade.
That's a great
for him.
point. Is that if the Bears were only going to give up a 6th with a conditional 4th, why not just bring Justin Fields, leave him there, and bring Caleb Williams in? And that's the argument's been made. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to your whole thing with Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson. Would the Bears fans all of a sudden say, hey, this guy ain't making it. They don't want that dissension in the locker room. And
they're not playing for a Super Bowl this year.
Well, it's the fucking Bears. I mean, I'm
just saying, like, okay, if that happens, just put Williams in. You're missing out on a 6th-round pick. Who gives a fuck?
No, I'm saying if you're... I'm making the argument, if you're the Bears, why not just keep Justin Fields?
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Let him start week 1.
Okay.
Let your finger-painting quarterback learn under Justin Fields. And, well, I'm going to say, quote, learn until he sucks. If he does, then you put him in. Or if he goes out and balls out, then you have trade partners everywhere for 2 different quarterbacks.
That's a great point. I like that. I just feel like the Bears...
Because I feel like Bears fans are more behind Justin Fields than they are this stupid trade that they made. It's not like there's going to be a bunch of toxicity out of nowhere.
Do you feel like the Bears fans are also like Cubs fans when it comes to baseball? They know they've never had a fucking quarterback ever, and they
other than Jay Cutler.
Well, right.
That dude could sling it.
Just pumping his fucking bike on the sidelines and not playing the goddamn playoff game.
Ripping darts.
I mean, just smoking a fucking cigarette and just pumping his fucking bicycle, knowing goddamn well he's never gonna fucking start that playoff game.
Yeah. Huh?
I just feel like
they fucked this whole situation up.
The Bears did.
They should have traded him. This should have been worked out in February before the whole shit. I
agree with you.
Yeah.
Because that's how the Steelers, how Fields got to that fucking point, is because Fields' draft stock kept going down.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, you're the Bears, you think you're going to get a 2 or possibly a 1.
Right.
And then all of a sudden,
that's what we talked about. I was like, you're at least going to get a 1.
Right.
1-1.
I think Atlanta would have.
Yeah.
Outside of them signing Kirk Cousins, I think
they would have had
Atlanta.
Why? I love Kirk. I love me some Kirk Cousins.
I know you do. Go ahead.
Well, just because if you have a team around him, the dude can go produce, you're going to have a chance.
Right.
But if I was Atlanta, I would have traded anything that not anything that they wanted, but what was market value at that point, because then you got a guy for the next 10 years.
Right. Because Justin Fields is much younger than Kirk Cousins, right?
And I think he's shown that he could play in this league.
I actually feel like Atlanta was the trade partner.
Yeah.
It was there.
We talked about that. We talked about Atlanta with Lamar last year.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, and I think, consolation prize, I think they did pretty well. I think they're going to be to me, Atlanta's a top 3 team in the NFC at least.
Do you think Atlanta's win that division in the South?
Immediately.
Really?
I'll put money on it right now.
Okay, but you should bet some futures then. Outside of, I know you and I both have a soft spot for Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm. I think they'll be number 2 in that division, as long as he stays healthy. Yeah.
Saints. I kind of agree with you. I think Kirk Cousins is going to get you to the dance.
Mm-hmm.
I think
what happens after that, I don't know.
He's going to fuck the dance up. That's how I feel.
Well, if they could play well enough to get the 1 seed, to me, that'll...
No, that's not happening.
In that division?
Oh, no. I thought you meant the 1 seed.
No, as I'm saying, in that division?
NFC.
And what schedule they're about to have? A third place schedule?
All right.
I could see him winning 13, 14 games.
You honestly think that the overall 1 seed, the NFC, is going to go to the South champion?
Yeah, it could if it's them.
Okay.
That defense, all the pieces that Atlanta has.
I mean, I love Atlanta's defense. Don't get me wrong.
And all the pieces they have
Yes,
on offense,
I agree
Bijan
with
Robinson,
you.
all those guys on the
I
outside.
agree with you. I just don't think it's going to happen.
That's 6. I mean, that's probably 5 wins. They're going to split with New Orleans.
Yeah, but come on. The number 1 seed out of the South?
Third place schedule? That's a third. Dude, that's.
I mean,
That's at least 11 wins.
Yeah. Okay. So are you telling me the Niners, which I think it could happen, the Niners are not returning?
No, they're returning.
My pick out
they're going to be right there. But I'm
pick-
just saying, it's not going to surprise me if they get that 1
My
seed.
pick out of the West is the Rams.
I don't see them overtaking San Fran yet.
Okay.
They're going to be right there, but I don't see it happening. But that's a competitive division. Seattle's still going to give people fits.
And here's my thing too. Are you taking Atlanta over anybody in the NFC North?
I'm not saying they're the better team, but can they reach 13 or 14 wins? Yes.
No, you said 11. I think they
I
get
said
11.
at least 11.
At least 11.
But can they? Yes.
I think 11's their ceiling.
No. Fuck no. I think 11 is what they is. They're going to be at 9.5 probably betting line.
All right.
But to me, anything less than 11 wins would be a disappointment.
I mean, Atlanta was in the playoff discussion at the end of the last season.
Yeah.
With Week 17.
With trash QB play.
Yeah.
And now they have a great first round pick. They don't have to give up any draft capital. They could get another wide receiver. You got Kyle Pitts. You got a guy that's proven that he can sling
Drake
it.
London.
Drake London.
Yeah.
You got Bijan Robinson, a good offensive line, a good defense.
I mean, I agree as far as that. I don't.
In a shit division other than
I
New Orleans.
I agree with you, even though I brought up the Saints bullshit. I agree with you. They're going to walk away with that division. I just don't. They're not getting the number 1. I don't see them getting the number 1 overall.
Well, okay,
Overall,
you could say that, but
see.
I could see them doing it.
Okay.
Because their schedule's not going to be tough. I would have to look at their opponents. Their schedule's not going to be tough. There's 9 home games in the NFC this year. So
Okay.
there's 9 home games that Kirk has.
Okay.
And like I said, that's 5 wins in that division at least.
Okay. He's not sweeping?
I think he could. But I think New Orleans, maybe Tampa gets him in Tampa.
Gets 1.
Gets 1.
All right.
That's 4 to 6 wins in the division. Easy.
Carolina getting 1?
No. No.
Even on the road?
Unless they're sitting their fucking starters at the end. Yeah.
Oh, Carolina?
Yeah. No.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Dude, the odds of whatever the MVP odds is for Captain Mitchell.
We should make this
Carolina.
like a cow bet, but Carolina fishing with the worst record in the league. We should just put a futures bet on that.
It's probably minus something.
Have they done anything? I haven't heard much
They've
about
lost
them
a
at
lot.
all. No, I'm saying in the NFL free agency.
They've lost a lot.
They signed
Brian
the,
Burns. They lost.
Yeah, no, I thought they signed Burns.
Well, they traded him, didn't they?
I don't know. I don't have to look that up, but I thought they franchise tagged a player, a linebacker, right?
Okay.
Okay. Oh, Deontay Johnson. Let's not forget about him.
Oh, they did get him.
They did get him.
So they traded for a short wide receiver for the
Right.
short quarterback.
Perfect.
Yes, yes.
We should just, everybody on RawDawgers Sportscast, we're going to give you right now, just go ahead and bet the future of the Carolina Panthers being the worst fucking team in the league.
Yeah.
Or having the most losses.
Yeah.
And trying to recoup some of that fucking Bears juju fucking draft shit.
It's got to be them in New England,
Right?
right?
You think New England's too?
Well, I mean, just because they're in the AFC, they're going to get a lot of big losses there.
You think New England's finishing last in AFC East?
That depends if Rodgers is RVP.
That's tough. That's tough.
I still think the Jets are the better team, regardless.
I do.
I think the Jets are.
I mean, Gerard Mayo just going out there and sprinkling pixie dust. Just making it. Oh, we're not the fucking old Belichick New England Patriots. We're going to fucking move up here to number 1, and we're going to trade out Robert Kraft and all his fucking Chinese massage people.
That no one talks about.
Right. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. All right. Let's move on a little bit. I mean, I know we talked about that. Go ahead.
Hit us up in the chat, though. Who do you think is going to be the worst worst record team in the NFL next year.
You may tell you who You may tell you who I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be the Cardinals, and I thought Houston was.
That was close.
I thought Houston was going to come in really close.
Well, I thought they'd be 5 or 6 last year.
I did not, and I love
because of CJ.
I love CJ Stroud, but if you had told me at the beginning of last season that they were going to go on and win that division, I would have been like, no, that's not happening. They're finishing 4.
Yeah,
it's CJ's rookie.
And
rookie
there's
year.
always that team every year though that comes out of nowhere.
So who's that?
And I think that's probably gonna be Arizona.
No, my pick last year was Arizona. It was going to finish.
But I mean to come out of nowhere and win some games.
Okay.
That NFC West is going to be tough.
It's tough, yeah. Seattle finishing below Arizona in that division.
I'll have to think about it,
Gino?
but it's going to be probably.
Okay.
But I think Seattle's going to be a 7 to 10 win team.
Okay.
7 to 9 win team. I mean, that's a good division. Now that I think Kyler Murray showed everyone with that. Even with the shit that they had on defense
he
last year.
came on strong once he came back from injury, right?
Yeah.
We didn't play in this, but how about the, I know it's one of your favorites, though, the NFC North with the Bears now with the number 1 pick.
Uh-huh.
We all assume it's going to be Caleb Williams.
It has to be.
Right?
Or one of the quarterbacks, if it's not Caleb.
So we could be in the same situation as we were with Houston this last season, right?
Right.
And nobody believes that Caleb Williams is going to be the guy, whether he stays there or not. If they do draft Caleb Williams and they went ahead and got Keenan Allen, okay, with DJ Moore,
right?
They went ahead and franchise tagged their corner,
right?
Okay, they have Montez Sweat.
They got pieces there. That's why it didn't make any sense to me for them to move on from Justin Fields.
Bears 4th or 3rd in the division, or higher. Any regression from Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think the Lions are the team to beat. Then after that, I think the Vikings are the worst team in that division.
I agree with you on
that. And 2nd and 3rd, that's going to be a toss-up to me. That's going to be
who's winning it?
I think Detroit.
No chance Green Bay with Jordan Love just.
Like
he was really coming on.
He was coming on. No, I think Green Bay and Chicago are going to be fighting for that 2nd spot, and they both might make the playoffs.
Okay.
I'll have to.
No chance Green Bay overtakes, just ascends with Jordan Love and goes with a 12-5 season.
No, I think what we've seen from their defense there at the end was a little smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
I got to see it to believe it. So I think I like Jordan Love. I think they're going to be competitive. I think they're going to win some games. But I think Chicago, even with Caleb Williams, and we've talked about, I'm not a big Caleb Williams guy, but they're insulating him very well. Something they never did with.
How pissed off are you if you're
Justin Fields? Very pissed. He's got all the weapons.
Yeah.
So it's now or never.
Right. And Ryan Poles, the GM over there.
Yeah.
It's like.
Where the fuck was this?
You're all in, right?
Yeah.
You're all in if you're the Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, Bears fans.
Yeah.
I mean, not ever having.
Well, and not. It's not like I'm not saying it's now or never, but it's like they have enough there to be, especially in that NFC, to be a 10-win team.
Right. All right, we're gonna skip on down to our Pride and Jordan segment. We already covered the NCAA bracket a little bit.
Yeah.
Any surprises for you? There's always surprises.
Yeah, I've watched no seconds of college basketball this year, so it's all surprises.
Boom.
But I'm like 80% of my picks, guys. So
let
us know how you're doing with your brackets as well.
Please get in there. Let us know. Yeah. Let us know. My crying Jordan for the week is going to be speaking of Detroit cornerback Cam Sutton, originally drafted from Tennessee by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Played in Detroit last year, penned a $33 million contract. Cam Sutton is apparently at large with the Detroit Lions. The story is there was some domestic violence allegations, a strangling, if you will. We went ahead and put Baker on there with the fucking L. Well, he got that L because of the playoff game in Detroit and throwing that pick inside of 2 minutes left. But Cam Sutton, with a $33 million contract, and he, yeah, so he is at large as we speak. He was March 7th is when the warrant was put out for him. Even within the last hour, he is also still at large for domestic violence with the Detroit Lions, somewhere in Florida. Well, somewhere in Florida is where this apparently occurred. We don't know exactly where it happened. We do know this. If there's crazy shit that happens, usually it's the state of Florida and or 1A, it's happened in the state of Ohio. Right. And Cam Sutton is definitely... he's definitely getting the crying Jordan this week. If anybody knows where Cam Sutton is harboring himself,
do not alert the authorities.
Right, please let us know. Act like you were Shohei Ohtani's interpreter, and just act like because we really kind of want him on the Cleveland Browns, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's easy vet minimum. Even if he has to spend, we had Dante Stallworth here, all right. But I'm also going to throw a little CJ love over to the Kentucky Wildcats for fucking up my bracket.
Calipari.
Wasn't that your bracket?
Actually, yeah, it was my bracket. Yeah. So I actually had, like I said before, they were my champion. I blew it at the very start of the NCAA tournament on Thursday.
Deserved.
Yeah.
I didn't have him going that far, but I did go. I think I had him going to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, but
I'm actually is John Calipari on the hot seat? Nobody's talking about this. I mean,
where else are they going?
He had his time in UConn, right? Well, I heard.
Well, was it UConn? It was Memphis, right?
Was it Memphis? I thought he went to UConn.
No.
Okay. Well, regardless, everybody kind of agrees that John Calipari is a great coach. I did hear some little whisperings going on because of Juwan Howard that Michigan might want to take a flyer on John Calipari.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that would make sense. I think he's a good coach.
Okay.
I think, and I was talking, Max, you met him earlier. Okay. He's a Kentucky guy. He's a Bengals fan. Kentucky. Perfect. Makes sense. If you're listening to this, Max, we all know that Cincinnati's in Kentucky.
Thank you.
But, I think, too, and this is the reason why I've kind of stopped watching college basketball. There is, even before the NIL started happening,
the one and done. Yeah.
To me, look, there are guys that can come straight from high school and play in the NBA. You have a choice, to me. You either come out of high school, go to the NBA, go to Europe, whatever. But if you go to college, you need to stay there 3 years.
Okay.
Develop. And I think that, one, it'll make college basketball better to watch because you actually know who the fuck's playing for who.
Right.
And two, I think the NIL thing for all sports in college, these kids need to sign contracts. If they need to unionize. But this whole... I get where Nick Saban was coming from when he had his conference and all that stuff. I could not be a college sports athletic director, head coach, whatever, recruiter. You have to promise these kids the world, you give it to them, and they can just bounce.
Well, earlier this week, I guess Nick Saban came out, and even though he didn't want to say that he was opposed to the whole NIL thing, it's what made him retire, he did say that in another interview that it was actually that came about, and it's understandable. I understand it.
Yeah.
The NIL is a whole different variable and everything.
Dude, I mean, to even be at least in the NFL, you at least get a couple months off.
Right.
I mean, they probably still go to work and all that stuff, but there's the waning of the season's off. You have your weekends, I'm sure, on the off season. You have time with your family. You could probably take a week vacation somewhere, a couple week vacation somewhere.
Belichick.
Right.
Cliff diving.
Right. But in college, dude, you're recruiting year round. You have to go to these people's homes. You have to fucking... And then, now they have to worry about who's paying who. what do you know? All the alumni putting all this money into these. What do they call them?
I don't know.
It's where they extract the money to basically pay these players. I can't remember what they're called, but
Crypto?
well, yeah.
College crypto.
No, but
we should start that.
Yeah,
College
we should.
crypto should be a currency.
Yeah, I'll buy a suit. But no, it's just you couldn't pay me. Well, I mean, you could pay me enough. I'll do it for a couple of years. Hell, these guys are making $10-15 million as coaches, and I don't feel bad for the coaches, but at the same point, it's like, dude, if I was a coach at that level, I would not want to be.
No problem with Kyrie Irving from Duke being one and done.
No, like I said, if you're going to go to college, at least 2. But to me, it should be 3 years, like the NFL. But if you think you're good enough, forego your college eligibility.
Fine.
And if you do something like that and you go to Europe or whatever, and you're not good enough, and then you want to go to college, well, then you're gonna have to stay there for 2 years.
In Europe.
Yeah, but if you come back and you want to play college basketball to get notary or whatever, you'll have to be there for 2 years.
Okay.
Because that is ruining college basketball to me, and I think there's some college football things that they need to have rules. There needs to be structure. I'm not against players getting paid in the slightest. I've been yelling about that for 15 years.
Right.
They're making these schools way too much money as it is.
Mm-hmm.
But there needs to be some type of structure for these schools to be able to have a program. I mean, unless you're Ohio State, unless you're Florida, unless you're Alabama, unless you're one of these big-time programs that just has money to burn, how are you supposed to build something that could change your program like West Virginia did 15 years ago, like Clemson did?
The Blue Bloods, then.
Right, the Blue Bloods have it. But if you're not a Blue Blood, unless you have some billionaire that just wants to give you, $10, $50 million a year, how are you supposed to get these kids to come play?
And really, in the field of 64 or 68, if you consider the playing game,
yeah.
If that's not happening, and we everybody loves to see the Cinderellas, right?
Yeah,
I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
When it comes to the
but
NCAA
how awesome was it
tournament,
when Tim Duncan was at Wake Forest for 3 years?
Right.
You could see these guys grow, and when they went to the league, he was already averaging 19, 20 points a game.
Right, but if you're in that field of 64, everybody likes filling out the bracket, and they're like taking long shots and shit like that just to be a one-off.
Yeah.
But nobody... The Blue Bloods generally win it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are teams that make the Final Four or the championship.
Well,
the Blue Bloods win.
Even like, there's James Madison, or there's... But those teams, like, they always have, like, a team every decade that does that.
Right.
Like, even
VCU, the Yale.
VCU, yeah. Even if they're not Blue Bloods, they're still a basketball program. Right. St. John's.
St. John's, Rick Pitino. Running the fucking horror ring up there.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm trying to think of the other... But, I mean, like, it's not like it's some... Like, Oakland. Even Oakland. I've seen them in the dance. I think they've been there 8 or 10 times in their
right.
in the history of their
My wife
school.
has them as a Final Four player.
Yeah, so it's like, these are smaller schools, but they've been to the dance.
Right.
It's, I don't know. To me, there should be more structure to what's going on paying these kids. I want them to be paid whatever they're worth.
Right.
They're adults.
I don't have a problem with that either.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. There has to be, and this goes back to what Joel Klatt was talking about, I think, is there has to be some kind of governing body.
Yeah.
Right?
And the NCAA said, fuck it. And it's up to the schools, or
fuck
whatever.
You guys. The NCAA
when people were yelling at him to do it for 20 fucking years.
Right. The NCAA says, no, we're going to keep running our shit from Kansas City. You guys fucking deal with it.
We're a nonprofit.
We're a nonprofit. Okay. Right.
While I go back in my chambers and do this line of blow.
Right. Perfect. All right. Do you have anything else? That's about it for me. Rip Ipa Masahura.
Yeah.
The NCAA. Hey, great luck to anybody with their brackets. We're all about that too. Yep. I mean, nobody's gonna hit a perfect bracket. We already established.
If you do, throw us some money. We'd love it.
We love it. We would. Anything else you want to bring up?
No. Looks like we have some new Twitter viewers tonight.
Perfect. Perfect.
If you could follow us, that'd be awesome. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. I have this recorded. I'm going to try to get this uploaded to Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So yeah, no. And when you come in, don't be afraid to get in the chat.
Please.
I looked on my phone in the actual Twitter. I didn't look like anybody commented, but I should be able to see it on Restream here. But thanks guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We try to make it fun, funny, fuck around, have some beers, have some laughs.
Well, and if you guys get in the chat, it's going to make it a hell of a lot
more. Yeah. And, also, if you enjoy the show, we do a Crying Jordan segment every week.
Great point.
Please, if you see one that you love or, like, you see a good story during the week, you don't even have to make it. If you see a good story of the week and you think, hey, that dickhead deserves a Crying Jordan, let us know. We'll make one or we'll find one, and we'll put it up during our segment. Other than that, just share with your friends and
and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. If you could go over to YouTube and just hit that subscribe button, if you're not 90 years old, it doesn't cost anything. That would be great. We usually do this every Friday, but sometimes we're adults. Things pop up. We'll do it on Saturdays, but we do it about Friday, about in between 7 and 8 o'clock. We're here.
All right. Sounds good. Get in there. We still have
and we still have these shirts.
Yeah,
we have these RawDawgers shirts.
RawDawgers shirts. Go balls deep.
Yep.
Just get in there, like and subscribe to all the platforms, please.
Yes.
That helps us so much.
And we're on TikTok. We are on TikTok.
We are on TikTok, although our stream did end, probably for the same reason that the Chinese need to be abolished. I don't run the app. I just try to use it, and we should. I don't know why the stream quit, but also you should just go over and check out our TikTok.
We have some good videos there.
We do put some bits on there every now and again. That's much different than what we have going on with the podcast. So, anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, RawDawgers out.
RawDawgers